Hello, this is a tutorial for the Palouse Conservation District Soil Health Data Portal. This is just a quick video to show you all the different features of this application, including how to get started, how to view different types of data, and just looking at some of the features that are embedded in this application. So to begin, you should have your producer ID, which consists of, it should be 2 letters with either 1 or 2 numbers following it. It is not case sensitive, so no matter what, it should work as long as you put in the correct code. Once you put in this producer ID, a map should appear with one of your fields, and there should be a name up above it right here with the field name. So if you have more than one field, there should be a drop down in the select field drop down list, but as you can see with this demonstration, there's only one. So in theory, if you wanted to look at different fields, you could simply click your field right here. So to begin with, we'll look at the different types of data. So we have 4 different types. There's biological, chemical, physical, and soil health. We'll start by looking at biological first. Once you click a type of data, a few different graphs appear automatically. As you can see in the bottom of the screen, there's 3 graphs that appear. It's biomass data, biomass ratios, comparing it seasonally, and then ratios compared regionally. And there's actually a 4th graph that appears up at the top, but this will only appear if you select the type of grouping. And with the grouping for biological, it's different types of genus. So we'll look at nematode genus, and you can see the diversity, and it simply shows the number of individuals per gram, and you can take a look by selecting either your desired data groupings here. You can also select different parameters such as biological and, if applicable, and CO2 bursts, and also view those there. But please note that the graphs will not all the graphs will appear for this specific type of data. So we'll look back at nematode genus. If you look on the actual bar graphs, you can actually hover over and look at each individual bar. You can see the variable and then the value mean. All these bars are calculated via the mean, but there is error bars attached with it as well. And if you hover over the error bars, you can actually see the minimum and maximum, considering the standard deviations on these as well. And this goes for all the graphs with calculated means. So you can see down here that there's also there's means as well as the standard deviations for the error bars as well. So these graphs are interactive. You can hover over and see different types of data or more information with each of the bars or the data collected. You can also click on and click off different bars if possible. So if you want to compare different seasons, you can simply just unclick certain seasons and look and see on these graphs. Same works with all the graphs that have multiple different colored bars. So this is in essence the biological data. We can look at chemical. As you'll see, there's a few different more options for your data. So for data grouping, we can look at different types of nutrients, so micronutrients, macronutrients, and then a third data grouping with carbon, organic matter, and pH. So we'll look at macronutrients. As you can see, the graphs begin to appear by themselves, and the default is ammonium, but you can look at different parameters that are within the macronutrients data grouping. So we can look at nitrate. And if you notice, this is a good example of this. If you notice that if the graphs don't refresh on their own, as you see, nitrate didn't seem to have refreshed on its own. When you click a new parameter or anything, any of these boxes, you can simply hit this button, refresh graphs, and it should refresh all of them. I guess it did work initially for nitrate, but if you ever do get caught, whether a graph is not appearing or it looks like a graph it just doesn't look right, you can always click the refresh graphs button and it will refresh all 4 of the graphs on the screen. So we have all of our data for nitrate. As you can see, it's broken out. Similarly to biological data, you can look at the averages by season. Management comparison, looking at different managements. Whatever management is classified for your specific field will highlight in red on this box plot. And then there's different tests that may be available for certain parameters. As you can see, there's 4 different tests for nitrate. You can look at them here. And then there's also a regional comparison as well. So if you want to look at specific tests as well, for a specific parameter, you can look at this last drop down. And here's a Haney test. You can look at all the data collected just for the Haney test, and then you can also see how it compares. This graph should not refresh all the time when you're clicking on a different test because it is just one specific test. So that's pretty much how the data groupings work for the all the chemical data. Physical and soil health data data types are still in the works, but they will work similarly to how biological and chemical data is displayed here. So that in essence is the Shiny application. If you want more information on a specific test, you can always click the test description button. Typically a test will have information behind it. Sometimes they won't, but as you can see here, there's a quick explanation of the Haney test for nitrate just for this specific parameter and the specific test. So you can always click this button if there is a test description applicable. That is pretty much the whole rundown of all the features of the application. If you have any questions or concerns or notice any bugs, you can always reach me, Nick Harris, nich@pluecd.org. Thank you again, and yeah, please don't hesitate to ask any questions or comment any bugs.